Hey, this is Super Dell. Okay, here's a question I get all the time. What's the next best glider to the Dominator? If the Dominator's best, what's the second best, third best, fourth best? List the next 3 gliders that you would choose if you didn't pick a Dominator. Doesn't work that way. Let me explain how testing is done so that you understand. Hey, Kitty. This is Rhea.
Hi.
Baby. Okay, doing a video. Okay. No worries. Okay. Yeah, she's wonderful. I adore her. Okay. Little distracted there, sorry. Yeah. Okay. She's awesome. Okay, focus. Yes, I can focus. All right, being a little distracted here. So, the way you test a glider, if you watch through, I've got over 1,000 videos, you'll see we're flying the best glider we can find, and every new glider that comes out, we test against that glider. It either beats it or it doesn't. If it beats it, bam, that'll be the new glider that we use, and then everything will be tested against that. Over years and years and years of experience testing piles of gliders, everything fails to beat the Dominator. So right now, the Dominator's the best. Everything gets tested against the Dominator. So which one's second best doesn't work that way, because if you think about it, every glider's being tested against the Dominator, and they don't need to be fully tested. The second there's a major problem found, boom, that glider's eliminated, and not even an option. So you'll see us test all kinds of gliders, like take the Ozone Indy, for example. We take a 30 square meter, take an asymmetric collapse, the thing falls out of the sky so fast that not even full throttle on a crazy powerful paramotor can keep you in the air. Same thing on an extra small Dominator. You hold a major collapse, touch more throttle, you can literally continue flying straight and level. So it's like, it doesn't matter. You don't really need to test it further because it flunks. Or you take a glider like the Emotion 3, not roll stable. Or a glider like the Jin Sprint Evo, not roll stable, bum flunks. It's actually a pretty nice glider, but you don't even have to bother with all the complete testing because it's not roll stable. You can't sell that glider to beginners. Bam, it fails. Or you take a glider like the APCO Hybrid. Bam, not structurally stable. You drag a wingtip and it can get ripped out of the sky because it's only a single-sided glider and just doesn't have the rigidity and stability. So you don't have to do full testing because you can't really, if you think about it, in order to come up with a second best, you would have to test this glider versus that glider versus that glider and that glider back to this glider and this glider versus that. Every glider would have to be tested against every other glider, and it just doesn't work that way. It'd take, who knows how many thousands and thousands of additional tests to try and come out with a second best. But who cares about second best? Do you want the best or not? All the gliders are about the same price, so it's like, why would you care about second best instead of just getting the best? That doesn't make sense. So you really should put your effort into finding the best. I mean, it's pretty logical. When you find the best glider you found, any new glider you test against that glider. If it beats it, well, that's your new best. If it doesn't, well, you keep what you got and you go roll with it, and then you test something else against it, test something else against it. So you'll see years and years and years now testing other gliders against the Dominator that all fail. They do not surpass or beat the Dominator. They all have issues. Now, are there safe gliders? Yeah, there's pretty safe gliders, but it's pretty easy to make a safe glider like the Dominator. But where they fail is on performance. The Dominator is literally outperforming totally uncertified class gliders from other manufacturers, and while having safety better than the safest class. So let me just show you a video so you can understand, like a glider like the Paramotor. That's their safest class of glider versus the Dominator. I'm going to link a video in the description of an actual back-to-back where I can show you real-world tests. The Paramotor you can see a real world collapse. Boom, it reacts so violently, it actually takes a secondary collapse. Before it ever recovers, it takes 11 seconds. That was in its trims down safest configuration. Then you watch a real world collapse of the Dominator, a much bigger collapse, and trims up in its less safe configuration. So giving every advantage to the Mac Para, the Dominator takes a massive, like 90-something% collapse, and boom, it's open in 1 second. 1 second, doesn't lose altitude, doesn't really change direction, where you watch the same with the Mac Para Muse, and it's just not the same. So it's like, not all beginner class gliders are safe either. There's a lot of things that they don't test and they don't really give equals to equals. Things like the ozone, where how fast it falls during a collapse. They don't test that. They only test basically how fast it's turning. They don't tell you how fast it falls while that collapse is actually happening. So it's like if you're flying along at 30 feet and you take an asymmetric collapse, you don't want a glider that immediately drops like a brick. You want the Dominator that literally keeps flying straight and level and opens faster than you can look up. Almost never, nobody ever even sees a Dominator collapse. You might hear it, you might feel it, but it's like you hear a flap and you look up and it's already open. The Dominator opens so fast and maintains direction and altitude better than any glider I've ever seen while being roll stable. And on top of that, the Dominator is available in more sizes than any other glider on the market that I've ever seen. You can get all the way from a 14 square meter clear up to a tandem glider sizes. So huge wide a range of sizes where you take another glider, and if it only comes in like 4 sizes, say it's extra small, small, medium, large, and those are the only sizes, or it's small, medium, large, extra large, you can't do squat with that. That doesn't give you a very good range. You don't have your tandem capability for really big or heavy or a bigger guy, and you don't have the smaller, faster, funner gliders for the guys as you gain more experience. I mean, one of the funnest gliders of all is the Dominator extra small, or the 4XS, which is the 16 square meter. So there's so many variables as to which glider. A glider that doesn't even come in more than 4 sizes, how does it even compete with the Dominator? Because you're not going to have the right size. It's only going to fit a very small little niche. Now, flying tandem or changing sizes is another huge safety factor. If you change from one glider to another, the whole dynamics and flight characteristics are different. So like if you take your normal solo glider that handles really well, say you fly an extra small Dominator as your standard small, all around glider that you fly 98% of the time. Then you switch to some huge gigantic pig piece of crap tandem wing. Well, the last time I flew one, I literally spun the glider because they handle so bad. It was so horrible that just trying to get it to do basic maneuvers, the glider literally spun before it actually turned. So it really creates a safety issue going from one type of glider to another type of glider, especially for something as significant as tandems. If you're going to fly tandems and take passengers up, you're basically taking all that experience of yours flying your solo glider, which is the vast majority of what you do, and throwing it out the window, and now all of a sudden the glider handles totally different, and you only fly it tandem. It's not like you're going to go fly it around solo to get used to it. So how are you getting used to it? Basically, all your passengers are guinea pigs. But with the Dominator, you fly around on your extra small all day. Well, then you just grab like an extra large or an extra large. It's the exact same glider. It feels exactly the same. Everything is so perfectly familiar. The size is different, so it's going to be a little different, but very little, because if you think about the loading, if you fly solo on, say, an extra small, will fly in tandem on an extra large is going to be about the same wing loading. So now your glider is reacting, the feel, how it responds, everything is very similar, and you already have that understanding of the Dominator and how everything works. So the ability to get larger sizes and much smaller sizes makes you much, much safer. Because also think about going the other way. Let's say you're an intermediate pilot and you're flying a medium and you're gaining more experience, and now you want to get something a little faster, a little snappier. Well, if you switch to a totally different glider, they have a very different brake range on a lot of different gliders, and that is a major safety issue. All of a sudden, all of your experience on your medium goes out the window, and you've just completely switched gliders. Where with the Dominator, you just drop a size. It's exactly the same glider you've been flying for a year, whatever, and put all those hours on and all that feel. You just change sizes, so the change is like this big. But if you change from one glider to a completely different glider, the change can be this big. That in itself is a major safety factor. So with the Dominator, you have the ability to go from total newbie on their first flights to flying the best pilots on the world, ripping around on small little sizes, all the way to flying tandem and stay on exactly the same glider in a different size. Huge safety factor, and every single size is roll stable and safety tested up and down, left and right. It is absolutely incredible, that particular glider. But the video is about which is second best. That would be a royal pain in the butt. It would take so much work. And nobody's doing honest reviews. There are no honest reviews. Now, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, what a thing to say. That's just ridiculous. Okay, think for a second about a Ford dealer. Is Ford ever going to admit Toyota's better? Can Ford dealers ever do a review and say, this Toyota is awesome? No, they won't, because they're controlled by those selling the gliders. So the reason you don't see anybody doing honest reviews, it's like you see a review and they're like, oh, this is a nice glider. That's a review. They don't hit any of the characteristics. It's like a total waste of time. Just absurd. Oh, this is a nice glider. It seems efficient. What the freak, dude? You want to do a review, you put them side by side, back to back, and you show which is better. But the glider manufacturers don't want you to know the truth. They want people to push their gliders and the ones they specifically want you to push. So if you're that guy that goes out and tells the truth, well, then you're talking about Super Dell, because I'm the only one doing it. Because you will literally get the manufacturers upset at you. But Super Dell, I don't give a crap. I just tell the truth, and they can go shove it, do whatever. It's just going to be the way it is. So for years, I've done all these reviews, and it ticks people off, and you can see why they talk so much crap, because they hate it when I say, yeah, glider A is better than glider B. Here's the facts. Bam. Now, there's lots of people doing totally bogus reviews, because what they pitch and push, they have to try and market. So they're going to do bogus reviews. But I can sell any dang glider on the freaking planet. Any name brand, any glider, any make and model, anything. I really don't care. In fact, I will literally pay you $5,000 if you can produce a glider for me that will legitimately beat the Dominator. Send me a glider, please. I would love to fly a glider or find a glider that will beat it. Yeah, years and years and years. Look at all my tests. Doesn't beat it, they lose. One glider I was really excited about was the APCO Hybrid, because a single-sided glider is actually lighter because you only have one side, and so there's some possibilities. So I was pretty excited to test it. It flunked miserably, wasn't even close for the safety, didn't have the performance, and then the stability issue, that was pretty much a complete write-off. That's not happening. So there's so many gliders that we test against the Dominator, but we're doing, and of course, yeah, I ticked off APCO because they're selling, the hybrid. If I name a name, they're going to get pissed because they don't want people to see a side-by-side comparison going, this glider's better than that glider. Because the guy that has the second best glider, they're like, hey, dude, yeah, don't be sure. They're going to be applying pressure and very upset and frustrated that you're actually being that blatant. That's why pretty much everything else out there is a load of crap. You see people pretending to do reviews, and a lot of it's fake. Even if they're trying to say, oh, look at this, we did these back-to-back tests, and this glider beat that glider by this much. They're full of crap most of the time. It's so difficult to get accurate information. You got to have the guy that doesn't mind ticking people off and just telling it like it is, because that takes a very specific person. You actually have to care about the truth in people's lives more than you do about money, because they will bash, trash, and lie about you and try and discredit you when you share the truth. So there are many, many variables to picking the glider, but ultimately, who gives a crap what's second best? Usually people asking that question are asking that question for totally the wrong reasons. If you really legitimately care about what's the best, look for the best. Check it, because there's no opinion to it. Glider characteristics are measurable. Okay, the glide ratio is measurable. The sink rate's measurable. The speed is a number. Okay, the Dominator, I set the world speed record, 51 miles an hour. It's a number. It's not an opinion. If something else can post a higher number, it's faster. It's like in cars. You post horsepower and 0 to 60 speeds. Then you can compare all these cars. This is its horsepower. This is its 0 to 60 speed. This is the weight of the vehicle. You have specifics to go by. In this sport, there are specific characteristics, but even the glider manufacturers don't post accurate information. This ought to blow your mind, but glider manufacturers will put information on their websites that are hypothetical ideas. So it's not accurate. It's like people say, oh, the manufacturer says right here that this glider has this spec and this glider has... Who gives a crap? Listen to the guy that's actually telling the truth, not the manufacturer, because they're very likely wrong or skewed. You just can't trust it. I mean, I've seen glider manufacturer that said this glider had a 9-to-1 glide ratio. This glider had an 8-to-1 glide ratio. When I put them side by side, the one that supposedly had the worst glide ratio kicked the crap out of the better one, or the way they rated it. I have literally witnessed this. So it's like you have to have massive experience by someone who just cares about what the actual truth is. You can't just go, I mean, I run into that all the time. People are like, oh, these guys say on their website, this is the speed of that glider. Bull crap. The speed of the glider is what I posted. I showed you the mile an hour back and forth. One direction, the other direction, take the average. That's the speed. What somebody posts on a website for the speed of their glider is not actually what is reality. They don't even know. Have you ever seen anyone test max speed? I mean, I just saw a review by some childish newbie going, oh yeah, this glider's way fast. Like, what's way fast? It's like, give me a mile per hour. And it's like, you have to post the actual facts and reality and then race them. Put them side by side. Let's race. Who wants to go? So there's many, many variables, because like I went to a fly-in recently, and it's like there's these people all flying around, totally uncertified class, just complete death trap gliders, and the performance is nowhere near as good. So I go out and do the usual Super Dell demo, loop-de-doops, all these maneuvers, and I'm doing maneuvers and stuff, and doing things that they can't do on their uncertified class gliders, or things, let's say they could do the same maneuver, I can do the same maneuver, but I'm doing these maneuvers on the safest glider. Right after I did all those maneuvers, showing the incredible handling and performance of the Dominator, I yanked a massive collapse and flew all the way down the beach, holding that collapse, and flew straight and level, which they're not going to do that with their death trap, because you get a major collapse like that, you do a backflip 180 and lock into a face down spiral, bam, splat face version to the ground. That's why they're death traps. I'm going to do another video on what is a death trap and explain it, because it's very simple. Well, I'll go into more depth there, but basically a glider that freaks out, and when it takes a collapse, it does a backflip 180, literally flips the opposite direction straight at the ground and then locks into a spiral. I mean, imagine you're flying 100 foot off the ground, and all of a sudden your glider just flips a 180 straight at the ground and locks straight down into a spiral. Boom! You hit faster than you can even think about it, and faster than many people can get out of reserve. So that's what a death trap is. A glider where its response to a collapse is most commonly leads to your death. So there's many variables and massive experience. That's why you can't take the opinion of some newbie that's 20 years old going, oh yeah, I know what's best. They don't know jack. They don't have the massive experience and the massive years and years of testing and flying through all sorts of different conditions and taking collapse in perfectly smooth morning cold air. It's like, until you've actually had an experience, you don't know what is going to happen to people. And if you don't really truly understand what's going to happen to people, you don't know how to really prepare them in the best possible way. So if you want the best gear, you have to listen to the guy that has the experience, who's not afraid to just tell you the truth, and who cares more about the truth and your life than they do about your money, which again, you can also test. That's a whole nother thing where we'll challenge you to try and prove me wrong. I challenge you. I mean, it's really not rocket science. If I'm wrong, someone should be able to post a video and show facts, not just BS. So anyway, I'm going to link that one video so you can even see safest classic glider versus safest classic glider, and the Dominator utterly destroys it. And heck, I'll link the 51 mile an hour so you can see the Dominator also blow away other uncertified class gliders, so you can see its performance is better and its safety is better. Safety is better in their safest class, and the performance is better than their totally unsafe class. So many little pieces, so many little details. I could literally go on for hours and hours and hours of all the experience that goes into picking which glider. If they're a better glider, I would switch like that. I don't give one crap which glider's the best. Find me a better glider, that's a glider I'll be promoting. Now, if it was an honest world, think about it. They would send me one. If they honestly had a glider that would beat the Dominator, they would send me one. I would be flying it. That would be that. How simple would it be if people were honest? If there's a manufacturer out there that makes a glider better than the Dominator, they would go, oh, Dell's just honest. I'm going to send him one. I test it. I do back-to-back. I show you its very simple characteristics. Either the characteristics are better or they're not. If it beats it, I would love to have a glider that beats the Dominator. I've been flying the Dominator for quite a while. I would be super excited to find something that would beat it. Please, by all means, prove it's not the best by sending me a glider that's better. I mean, logic and reason and facts, it's really very simple, but you have to use logic and reason to understand why nobody else does it. There's reasons they don't tell the truth, and if you think about it logically, you can understand. But if you don't need to do massive work or spend $1 million buying gliders, just call me and I will fix you up and make sure you get the best gear the first time without having to mess around. Super down, 800-707-2525.